Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Bob Keyser. This is the Son of Man, Urantia Project. Today's episode is Chapter 59, The Farewell Talk. After they had all stood up and sung the psalm after supper, the apostles thought that they were going to leave. But Jesus told them to sit back down and said, "You well remember when I sent you out without money, and even advised that you take no extra clothes with you, and you all recall that you lacked nothing. But now you have come on troubled times. You can no longer depend on the goodwill of the crowds. From now on, if you have money, take it with you. When you go out into the world to announce this gospel, provide for your needs as seems best. I have come to bring peace, but it will not appear for a time. The time has now come for the Son of Man to be glorified, and the Father will be glorified in me. My friends, I am to be with you only a little while longer. Soon you will look for me, but you will not find me, because I am going to a place that you cannot at this time come. But when you have finished your work on earth, as I have finished mine, you will then come to me, even as I now prepare to go to my Father. In just a short time I am going to leave you. You will see me no more on earth, but you will all see me in the age to come, when you ascend to the kingdom that my Father has given me." The New Commandment. After a few moments of talking among themselves, Jesus stood up and said, "When I enacted for you a parable showing how you should be willing to serve one another, I said that I wanted to give you a new commandment, and I want to do this now because I'm about to leave you. You well know the commandment that tells you to love one another, that you love your neighbor like yourself. But I am not wholly satisfied with even that sincere devotion on the part of my children. I want you to perform still greater acts of love in the kingdom of the believing brotherhood. And so I give you this new commandment, that you love one another even as I have loved you. And by this will all men know that you are my disciples, if you thus love one another. When I give you this new commandment, I do not place any new burden on your souls. Instead, I bring you new joy and make it possible for you to experience new pleasure knowing your heart's affection for others. I am about to experience the supreme joy, even though enduring outward sadness, in my love for you and your fellow mortals. When I invite you to love one another, even as I have loved you, I hold up before you the supreme measure of true affection. For no man can show greater love than this, that he will lay down his life for his friends. And you are my friends. You will continue to be my friends if you are but willing to do what I have taught you. You have called me master, but I do not call you servants. If you will only love one another as I am loving you, you will be my friends, and I will ever speak to you of what the Father reveals to me. You have not merely chosen me, but I have also chosen you, and I have ordained you to go forth into the world to yield the fruit of loving service to your fellows, even as I have lived among you and revealed the Father to you. The Father and I will both work with you, and you will experience a divine fullness of joy if you will only obey my command to love one another, even as I have loved you. If you would share the Master's joy, you must share his love. And to share his love means that you have shared his service. Such an experience of love does not deliver you from the difficulties of the world. It does not create a new world, but it most certainly does make the old world new. Keep in mind, it is loyalty, not sacrifice, that Jesus demands. The attitude of sacrifice implies the absence of that wholehearted care that would have made such a loving service a supreme joy. The idea of duty signifies that you are servant-minded, and hence you are missing the mighty thrill of doing your service as a friend for a friend. The impulse of friendship transcends all convictions of duty, and the service of a friend for a friend can never be called a sacrifice. The Master has taught the apostles that they are the sons of God. He has called them brothers, and now, before he leaves, he calls them his friends. The vine and the branches. Jesus stood up again and continued. He said, I am the true vine, and my Father is the keeper of the vineyard. I am the vine, and you are the branches. And the Father only requires of me that you bear much fruit. The vine is pruned only to increase the fruitfulness of its branches. Every branch coming out of me that bears no fruit, the Father will take away. Every branch that bears fruit, the Father will cleanse, that it may bear more fruit. Already you are clean through the word I have spoken, but you must continue to be clean. You must live in me, and I in you. The branch will die if it is separated from the vine. As the branch cannot bear fruit except if it lives in the vine, neither can you yield the fruits of loving service except if you live in me. Remember, I am the real vine, and you are the living branches. He who lives in me, and I in him, will bear a lot of fruit of the Spirit and experience the supreme joy of yielding this spiritual harvest. If you will maintain this living spiritual connection with me, you will bear abundant fruit. If you live in me and my words live in you, you will be able to talk freely with me, and then can my living Spirit so infuse you that you may ask whatever my Spirit wills. And do all of this with the assurance that the Father will grant us our request. Here the Father is glorified that the vine has many living branches, and that every branch bears a lot of fruit. And when the world sees these fruit-bearing branches, my friends who love one another, even as I have loved them, all men will know that you are truly my disciples. As the Father has loved me, so I have loved you. Live in my love, even as I live in the Father's love. If you do as I have taught you, you will live in my love, even as I have kept the Father's word, and forever live in his love. The Jews had long taught that the Messiah would be a stem rising out of a vine of David's ancestors, and in honor of this old teaching, a large emblem of the grape and its attached vine decorated the entrance to Herod's temple. The apostles all remembered these things while the Master talked to them this night in the upper chamber. But great sadness later resulted from the misinterpretation of Jesus' suggestions about prayer. There would have been little difficulty with these lessons, if his exact words had been remembered and later recorded truthfully. But as the record was made, believers eventually regarded prayer in Jesus' name as a sort of supreme magic, thinking that they would receive from the Father anything for which they asked. For centuries, honest souls have continued to wreck their faith against this stumbling block. How long will it take the world of believers to understand that prayer is not a process of getting your way, but rather a process of learning to take God's way, a process of learning how to recognize and execute the Father's will? It is entirely true that when your will has been completely aligned with His, that anything asked by the union of the two will be granted. But such a union is brought about by and through Jesus, even as the life of the vine flows into and through the living branches. When there exists this living connection between divinity and humanity, if the person should ignorantly pray for selfish ease and self-important accomplishments, there can only be one divine answer: bearing more fruits of the Spirit on the stem of the living branches. When the branch is alive, there can only be one answer to all its requests: more grapes. In fact, the branch exists only for and can do nothing except bear grapes. So does the true believer exist only for the purpose of bearing the fruits of the Spirit, to love man as he himself has been loved by God, and we should love one another even as Jesus loved us. And when the Father disciplines the vine, it is done in love, in order that the branches may bear a lot of fruit. And a wise gardener only cuts away the dead and fruitless branches. Jesus had a hard time teaching even his apostles to recognize that prayer is a function of Spirit-born believers in the Spirit-dominated kingdom. Hostility of the world. The 11 had just ended their talk about the vine and the branches when Jesus, indicating that he wanted to talk to them further and knowing that his time was short, said, "When I have left you, do not be discouraged by the animosity of the world. Do not get downcast when even faint-hearted believers turn against you and join hands with the enemies of the kingdom. If the world hates you, recall that it hated me even before it hated you. If you are of this world, then the world would love its own. But because you are not of this world, the world refuses to love you. You are in this world, but your lives are not world-like. I have chosen you out of the world to represent the spirit of another world, to this world from where you have been chosen. But always remember the words I have spoken to you. The servant is not greater than his master. If they dare to persecute you, if they dare to persecute me, they will also persecute you. If my words offend the unbelievers, so will your words also offend the ungodly. And all of this they will do to you, because they do not believe in me or in him who sent me. So you will suffer many things for the sake of my gospel. But when you endure these hardships, you should remember that I also suffered before you for the sake of this gospel of the heavenly kingdom. Many of those who will attack you do not know the light of heaven. But this is not true of some of those who now today persecute us. If we had not taught them the truth, they could do many strange things without being guilty. But now, since they have known the light and they have dared to reject it, they have no excuse for their attitude. He who hates me hates my Father. It cannot be otherwise. The light that would save you, if accepted, can only condemn you if it is knowingly rejected. And what I have done to these men that they should hate me with such terrible hatred? Nothing, except to offer them fellowship on earth and salvation in heaven. But have you not read in the Scripture the saying, "And they hated me without a cause"? But I will not leave you alone in the world. Very soon, after I have gone, I will send you a Spirit helper. You will have with you one who will take my place among you, one who will continue to teach you the way of truth, who will even comfort you. Do not let your hearts get troubled. You believe in God. Continue to also believe in me. Even though I must leave you, I will not be far from you. I have already told you that in my Father's universe there are many places that you will have to rest. If this was not true, I would not have repeatedly told you about them. I am going to return to these worlds of light, stations in the Father's heaven you will sometimes reach. From these places I came into this world, and the hour is now at hand when I must return to my Father's work in the spheres on high. If I go before you into the Father's heavenly kingdom, I will surely send for you, so that you can be with me in the places that were prepared for the mortal sons of God, before this world ever was. Even though I must leave you, I will be with you in spirit, and eventually you will be with me in person when you have risen to me in my universe, even as I am about to rise to my Father in his greater universe. And what I have told you is true and everlasting, even though you may not fully understand it. I go to the Father, and although you cannot follow me now, you will certainly follow me in the ages to come. When Jesus sat down, Thomas got up and said, Master, we do not know where you are going, so of course we do not know the way. But we will follow you this very night, if you will show us the way. When Jesus heard Thomas said this, he said, Thomas, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man goes to the Father except through me. All who find the Father first find me. If you know me, you know the way to the Father. You do know me, for you have lived with me, and you now see me. But this lesson was too deep for many of the apostles, especially for Philip, who, after speaking a few words with Nathanael, got up and said, Master, show us the Father, and everything you have said will be made clear. And after Philip said this, Jesus said, Philip, have I been with you this long, and still you do not know me even now? Again, I am telling you, he who has seen me has seen the Father. How can you then say, show us the Father? Do you not believe that I am in the Father, and the Father is in me? Have I not taught you that the words that I speak are not my words, but the Father's words? I speak for the Father, and not for myself. I am in this world to do the Father's will, and that I have done. My Father is in me, and works through me. Believe me when I say that the Father is in me, that I am in the Father, or, if nothing else, believe me for the sake of the life I have lived, for the work's sake. As Jesus took a break to splash some water on his face, the 11 started up a heated discussion about these lessons. And Peter was beginning to give an extended lecture when Jesus returned and told them to all be seated. The promised helper. Jesus continued to teach the apostles and said, When I have gone to the Father, and after he has fully accepted the work that I have done for you on earth, and after I have received the final sovereignty of my own universe, I will say to my Father, having left my children alone on earth, my promise was to send them another teacher. And when the Father agrees, I will pour out the Spirit of truth on all flesh. Already, my Father's Spirit is in your hearts. And when this day will come, you will also have me with you, even as you now have the Father. This new gift is the Spirit of living truth. The unbelievers will not listen to the teachings of this Spirit at first, but the sons of light will all gladly receive him, and with a whole heart. And you will know this Spirit when he comes, even as you have known me. And you will receive this Spirit in your hearts, and he will be with you. You can see that I am not going to leave you without help and guidance. I will not leave you desolate, abandoned. Today, I can only be with you in person. In the times to come, I will be with you and all men who desire my presence, wherever you may be, and with each of you at the same time. Do you not see that it is better for me to go away, that I leave you in the flesh, so that I can better and more fully be with you in the Spirit? In just a few hours, the world will see me no more, but you will continue to know me in your hearts, even until I send you this new teacher, the Spirit of truth. As I have lived with you in person, then I will live in you. I will be one with your personal experience in the Spirit kingdom. And when this has come to pass, you will surely know that I am in the Father, and I am also in you. I have loved the Father, and I have kept his word. You have loved me, and you will keep my word. As my Father has given me his Spirit, so will I give you my Spirit. And this Spirit of truth that I will give you will guide and comfort you, and will eventually lead you into all truth. I am telling you these things while I am still with you, so that you can be better prepared to endure those trials that are even right now on us. And when this new day comes, you will be indwelt by the Son as well as by the Father. And these gifts of heaven will ever work the one with the other, even as the Father and I have created on earth and before your very eyes as one person, the Son of Man. And this Spirit friend will bring to your memory everything that I have taught you. As Jesus paused for a moment, Judas Alphaeus got up the courage to ask one of the few questions that either he or his brother ever asked Jesus in public. Judas said, "Master, you have always lived among us as a friend. How will we know you when you no longer show yourself except by this Spirit? If the world does not see you, how will we be certain about you? How will you show yourself to us?" Jesus looked down on all of them, smiled, and said, "My little children, I am going away, going back to my Father. In a little while you will not see me as you do here, as flesh and blood. In a short time I am going to send you my Spirit, just like me, except for this material body. This new teacher is the Spirit of truth who will live in each one of you, in your hearts, and so will all the children of light be made one and be drawn toward one another. And in this way, my Father and I will be able to live in the souls of each of you, and also in the hearts of all other people who love us, and make that love real in their experiences by loving one another, even as I am now loving you." Judas Alphaeus did not fully understand what the Master said, but he grasped the promise of a new teacher, and from the expression on Andrew's face, he figured that his question had been answered. The Spirit of truth. The new helper that Jesus promised to send into the hearts of believers to pour out on all flesh is the Spirit of truth. This divine gift is not the letter or law of truth, and it is not a form or expression of truth. The new teacher is the conviction of truth, the consciousness and assurance of true meanings on real spirit levels. And this new teacher is the spirit of living and growing truth, expanding, unfolding, and adaptive truth. Divine truth is a spirit-known and living reality. Truth exists only on those high spiritual levels where divinity and a conscious communion with God is realized. You can know the truth, and you can live the truth. You can experience the growth of truth in your soul and enjoy its liberty as an enlightened mind. But you cannot imprison truth in codes, creeds, formulas, or intellectual patterns of human conduct. When you try to design divine truth in human ways, it quickly dies. The postmodern salvage of imprisoned truth, even at best, can only result in a peculiar form of glorified and intellectualized wisdom. Static truth is dead truth, and only dead truth can be held as a theory. Living truth is dynamic and can only be enjoyed as an experiential existence in the human mind. Intelligence grows out of a material existence that is illuminated by the presence of the cosmic mind. Wisdom is made up of knowledge that has reached new levels of meaning and has been activated by the presence of the Spirit of truth. Truth is a spiritual reality experienced only by spirit-endowed beings who operate on supermaterial levels of universe consciousness, and who, after the realization of truth, permit its active spirit to live and reign in their souls. The true child of universal insight looks for the living spirit of truth in every wise saying. The God-knowing individual is constantly elevating wisdom to the living truth of divine attainment, while the spiritually unprogressive soul drags the living truth down to the dead levels of wisdom and to the domain of mere lofty knowledge. The golden rule, when stripped of the superhuman insight that we get from the Spirit of truth, becomes nothing more than a rule for high ethical conduct. The golden rule, when literally interpreted, can become an instrument of great offense to others. Without a spiritual understanding of the golden rule, you might reason that since you want all men to speak the full and frank truth to you, that you should then fully and frankly speak whatever is on your mind to your fellow human beings. Such an unspiritual interpretation of the golden rule can result in untold sadness. Some people see and interpret the golden rule as a purely intellectual affirmation of human friendship. Others experience this human relationship as an emotional gratification of a human personality's tender feelings. Another person recognizes this same golden rule as the yardstick for measuring all social relations, the standard of social conduct. Still others look on it as being the positive command of a great moral teacher who embodied in this statement the highest concept of moral obligation in friendships. In the lives of such mortal beings, the golden rule becomes the wise center and circumference of all their philosophy. In the kingdom of the believing brotherhood of God-knowing truth lovers, this golden rule takes on the living qualities of higher levels of spiritual realization, those levels of God consciousness that cause people to interact with others in such a way that the person receives the absolute greatest benefit from the contact. This is the essence of true religion, that you love your neighbor as yourself. But the highest realization and the truest interpretation of the golden rule is being conscious of the enduring and living reality of such a divine statement. The true cosmic meaning of this rule of universal relationships is only revealed in its spiritual realization. In other words, interpreting the law of conduct by the Spirit of the Son to the Spirit of the Father inside people's souls. And when such Spirit-led people realize the true meaning of this golden rule, they are filled with the assurance of citizenship in a friendly universe, and their ideals of spiritual reality are satisfied only when they love their fellows as Jesus loved us all. And that is the realization of God's love. This same philosophy of living flexibility and cosmic adaptability, of divine truth according to every person's capacity and individual requirements, must be recognized before you can hope to understand Jesus' teaching and practice of non-resistance to evil. Jesus' teaching is basically a spiritual announcement. The material implications of his philosophy cannot be considered apart from their spiritual correlations. The spirit of Jesus' rule consists in an unselfish reaction to the universe events, coupled with aggressively attaining higher levels of true spirit values, divine beauty, eternal truth, and infinite goodness. In other words, to know God and to increasingly become like him. Love, unselfishness, must constantly be reinterpreted according to the leading of the Spirit of truth. Love must grasp the ever-changing and enlarging concepts of the highest cosmic good for the individual who is being loved. And then love goes on to bring this same attitude to all other people that could possibly be influenced by that person's increasing love for other universe citizens. And this entire experience of progressively adapting to higher concepts of love has to happen surrounded by the present evil in the world on the one hand, and the eternal goal of perfecting our divine destiny on the other. We must clearly recognize that neither the Golden Rule or the teaching of non-resistance to evil can ever be properly understood as a belief system. They can only be understood by living them, by realizing their meanings through the living interpretation of the Spirit of Truth, who directs the loving contact of one human being with another. And all of this clearly shows the difference between the old religion and the new. The old religion taught self-sacrifice. The new religion teaches only self-forgetfulness, the enhanced self-realization of blending social service with universal self-realization. The old religion was motivated by fear. The new gospel of the kingdom is dominated by a belief in the truth, the spirit of eternal and universal truth. And no amount of devotion or loyalty to a creed can compensate for the absence of that generous, spontaneous, and sincere friendliness that characterizes the spirit-born sons of the living God. Neither tradition nor a ceremonial system of formal worship can make up for lacking genuine compassion for others. The need for leaving. As Peter, James, John, and Matthew had asked Jesus some more questions, he continued his farewell speech and said, "And I am telling you about all of this before I leave you, so that you will be so prepared for what is coming, and so you will not stumble into serious error. The authorities will not be content with merely throwing you out of the synagogues. I warn you, the hour draws near when they who kill you will think they are doing a service to God. And all of these things they will do to you and those that you lead into the kingdom, because they do not know the Father. They have refused to know the Father by refusing to receive me, and they refuse to receive me when they reject you, provided you have kept my new commandment, that you love one another, even as I have loved you. I am telling you in advance about these things so that when your hour comes, as mine now has, you will be strengthened in the knowledge that all was known to me, and that my Spirit will be with you in all of your sufferings for my sake and the gospel's. It was because of this that I have been talking so plainly to you from the very beginning. I have even warned you that a man's foes may be those of his own household. Although this gospel of the kingdom never fails to bring great peace to the soul of the individual believer, it will not bring peace on earth until humanity is willing to believe my teaching wholeheartedly and to establish the practice of doing the Father's will as the chief purpose in living the mortal life. Now that I am leaving you, seeing that the hour has come when I am about to go to the Father, I am surprised that none of you have asked me, "Why do you leave us?" Regardless, I know that you ask such questions in your heart. I will speak to you plainly as one friend to another. It is really profitable for you that I go away. If I do not go away, the new teacher cannot come into your hearts. I must be separated from this mortal body and restored to my place on high before I can send this spirit teacher to live in your souls and lead your spirits to the truth. And when my spirit indwells you, he will illuminate the difference between sin and righteousness, and he will enable you to judge wisely in your hearts concerning them. I still have a lot more to say to you, but you cannot take any more right now. Although, when the Spirit of truth comes, he will eventually guide you into all truth as you pass through the many way stations in my Father's universe. This Spirit will not speak of himself, but he will declare to you what the Father has revealed to the Son, and he will even show you things to come. He will glorify me, even as I have glorified my Father. This Spirit comes forth from me, and he will reveal my truth to you. Everything that the Father has in this domain is now mine. This new teacher will take what is mine and reveal it to you. In just a little while, I will leave you for a short time. Afterward, when you again see me, I will already be on my way to the Father, so even then you will not see me for long. When he paused for a moment, the apostles began to talk with each other. What is this that he tells us? In just a little while I will leave you, and when you see me again, it will not be for long, for I will be on my way to the Father. What can he mean by this little while and not for long? We cannot understand what he is telling us. And since Jesus knew they asked these questions, he said, "Do you ask among yourselves what I meant when I said that in a little while I would not be with you, and that when you see me again, I would be on my way to the Father? I have plainly told you that the Son of Man must die, and that he will rise again. Can you not then understand the meaning of my words? You will first be made sad, but later on you will rejoice with many who will understand these things after they have come to pass. A woman is indeed sad in the hour of her labor, but once she has delivered her child, she immediately forgets her anguish in the joy of the knowledge that a person has been born into the world. And so you are about to be sad over my departure, but I will soon see you again, and then your sadness will be turned into rejoicing. And there will come to you a new revelation of the salvation of God that no man can ever take from you. And all the worlds will be blessed in this same revelation of life in effecting the overthrow of death. Up to now, you have made all of your requests in my Father's name. After you see me again, you can also ask in my name, and I will hear you." Down here, I have taught you in Proverbs and spoken to you in parables. I did so because you are only children in the Spirit. But the time is coming when I will speak to you plainly concerning the Father and his kingdom. And I will do this because the Father himself loves you and desires to be more fully revealed to you. Mortal man cannot see the Spirit Father, so I have come into the world to show the Father to your creature eyes. But when you have become perfected in spirit growth, you will then see the Father himself. When the 11 had heard him speak, they said to each other, "See, he does speak plainly to us. Surely the Master did come forth from God. But why does he say he must return to the Father?" And Jesus saw that they did not understand him yet. These 11 men still could not get away from their long-nourished ideas of the Jewish concept of the Messiah. The more fully they believed in Jesus as the Messiah, the more troublesome these deep-rooted notions regarding the glorious material triumph of the kingdom on earth became. All right, everyone, that's it for chapter 59, the farewell talk. Coming up next is chapter 60, final warnings. Defend liberty, protect the innocent ones, find some way to serve man for nothing more or less than the sake of God. Godspeed, everybody. Bobby Keyser, out here.